Hello dear patients, your favorite doctor here, Dr. Plague. And you know what? I think I'm near to completing all the stupid tasks that the Nintendo ninjas are giving me, so I think it's time for me to take things slow and relax. No rest for the wicked, I guess. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Doctor. How was your trip to the past?
What?
Oh, yes, very amusing indeed, but this is no time for chit chat. We have work to do.
Wait, what the hell is going on?
So, you already noticed our standing speed, isn't that right, Mr. Doctor? Very clever, yes.
You're talking at 1000 kilometers per hour. Slow the fuck down.
I'm afraid that's impossible, Mr. Doctor, and you better get used to it because you've been doing the same thing. We heard that you like speed and a good challenge.
I certainly love a good challenge, but I hate rushing stuff and you know it.
Wonderful. For this time, you'll be delving into the wonderful world of speedrunning.
Oh, come on, don't do that to me.
We don't make the rules, Mr. Doctor. If you want to switch back, you'll be getting into running, and we're close to getting a PB in our call with you, so farewell. We look forward to checking your speedrun attempt. Break a leg, Mr. Doctor.
I could barely understand a single word that came out of their mouths. This is bad. But if I want to get my switch back, I'll have to get into this seriously. So, grab a timer and adjust your seatbelts, cause today we're taking a look into speedrunning. Okay, this is completely uncharted territory. And no, I'm not talking about Naughty Dog's big hit. Speedrunning is something I have absolutely avoided, except for a couple occasions where I've just rushed through some games, but racing through stuff isn't really my thing, to be honest. With this in mind, there's still a lot to explore in regards to speedrunning. So, what exactly is speedrunning? It can be defined as attempts to beat part or all of a video game as quickly as possible. I always had the idea that speedrunning referred only to the whole game, but no, it also involves individual levels, specific objectives, or unique limitations or handicaps as decided by either the game community or the player attempting the run. There are many different categories to speedrunning, such as any percent, which involves getting to the end as fast as possible with no other specific requirements or limitations. 100%, which requires full completion of a game. The completion criteria may vary depending on the game. Low percent, which is the total opposite of 100% and requires to beat the game while completing the minimum amount possible. And finally, glitchless, which restricts the use of any glitches during the speedrun. So, basically this is a self-imposed time trial? This is madness! This is masochistic! Why would anyone do that? Of course, the sense of accomplishment, the thrill of the race, the pure adrenaline rush, the glory, the fame. But actually, speedrunning brings people together as it has one of the strongest communities in gaming. The speedrunning community is always looking for and sharing new ways to improve the runs, make faster routes, find new game-breaking glitches, and even guiding those who are new to the race, like me. You can also find speedrunning events and marathons which raise money for different charities. Games Done Quick is the largest event of this kind in America, and it's held in the United States. However, they have a Twitch channel which constantly streams runs for many different games in which the players share different strategies and tricks in action. And while most runners are truly dedicated to their craft, there have been others that are not so honest and turn to the dark arts of cheating. There are many different practices that are considered cheating in speedrunning, such as splicing the footage, aka not recording the speedrun continuously but putting together videos of various parts of the game instead. This is by far the most popular cheating method in speedrunning. Some other cheating methods include modifying the timer or playback speed or modifying in-game files. Well, I guess that taking a speed-enhancing potion is out of the table. Now that we have a better idea of what speedrunning is, the question is, where do we begin? Fortunately, there is a huge community of speedrunners who gather in an ancient plaza of antique and forgotten knowledge called speedrun.com. This is the largest speedrun community on the internet, and here you can find leaderboards for different games, categories, the videos of the speedruns themselves, and even guides in case you want to start running a game. Well, I might not be an avid fan of doing speedruns, but desperate times calls for desperate measures, so I'll start by choosing a game. When choosing a game to speedrun, you should always go for something that you know very well and enjoy a lot. Also, keep in mind that not all games are made for speedrunning. I mean, sure, you could totally speedrun games like Darkest Dungeon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, but it would probably take you entire years of practice and full knowledge of the game mechanics and something as complex as RNG manipulation. No, for the first time, pick something simple, a game that you can really finish very fast. One neat feature of speedrun.com is that you can look for popular games to speedrun with the most active communities at the moment. Some of the most popular games to speedrun at the time of recording are Super Mario 64, Celeste, Pizza Tower, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Hollow Knight, Getting Over It with Bennett 40, Super Metroid, Minecraft, and, for some odd reason, a lot of Roblox games. The advantage of running a highly active game is that you will find a lot of speedrunning guides, videos explaining techniques, and already optimized routes. At the end of the day, the meat of speedrunning are the different techniques found to finish a game as fast as possible, and most of them are absolutely insane. Take for example Super Mario 64 and the crazy shit you can do with the game's movement, especially the backwards long jump, which allows you to beat the game with 0 stars while opening a bunch of portals to alternate universes at the same time. If you know, you know. The glitches are a huge part of speedrunning and allow you to do some crazy stuff, like beating Elden Ring without having to actually fight a single boss, or Spyro Enter the Dragonfly, which is so poorly made that you can go straight to the final boss from the very beginning of the game by just performing a very simple headbutt. Of course, the latter is the exception rather than the norm, given that most glitches and exploits require an insane level of precision and skill to pull off. Of course, not every speedrun is related to glitches or vulnerabilities within the game. Some of them are just pure skill, routing, and timing. Puzzle games like Portal require you to know the solutions of the puzzles in advance and execute them to perfection. Racing games like CTR or Mario Kart depend on perfect knowledge of the game's mechanics and the skill to take insane shortcuts on the tracks. And platforming games also depend on your skill to properly move the character, avoid obstacles, and, most importantly, getting the correct cycle timing for moving obstacles and other environmental hazards. Damn! All this information is giving me a strong headache. I better just pick up a game and get over with it. Let's see... Oh, I know! I'll try one of my favorite games of all time, one that I know as well as the palm of my hand. Crash Bandicoot Warped. Alright, I picked the game, now what do I do? It's important to choose a category. Crash Bandicoot 3 has 3 categories, any percent with no item glitch, any percent, and 105%. As of the time of writing the script, the world record for all 3 categories is held by the same person, Burgerlands 2. I am not a master of complicated glitches, so my best bet is aiming for any percent without glitches. I must sound like a broken record by this point, but speedrun.com is your best ally when starting this. I mean, I could just play the game normally and try to beat it as fast as I can using normal movement, which is a totally valid way of beating the game. However, I have become truly fascinated by the routing and optimization of times and movement, so I'll go ahead and check some speedrunning guides in the site. For this game, there are 2 specific guides I checked out, which were the Crash 3 Any Percent No Item Glitch Beginner Mid-Level Routing Guide, which details the order in which the level should be accessed to get the Aku Aku mask to save time, given that you move faster when in invincibility mode, as well as the speedrun movement tutorial to get the grips on the forbidden techniques used by the runners in this game. There is some more complicated stuff in here, like skipping boss phases and manipulating cycles of obstacles and enemies, but that's way too complicated for a simpleton like me. Now that I know the basics, it's time to create the splits. But doctor, wait, what is a split? Glad you asked. A split is a specific section of the game, which can refer to specific areas, levels, bosses, etc. You can set your splits easily in the program called Live Split. For this run, I'm including all the levels and the bosses as splits so that I don't forget the correct order of the optimal route. Once the splits are all set, it's time to start running. I feel like I had been put through a meat grinder. Motherfuck! So, just because you know a game very well doesn't mean that you can beat it very fast. After trying an unspecified number of runs, I've only been able to complete 2. The first attempts were trying to get the hangs of the movement and come to grips with the overall level routing, so of course I didn't expect to come out with a good time or even a finished run on my first try. I'm not going to explain in detail the movement technique, given that there's a 1 hour plus video guide that explains it in detail, but basically you have to slide and jump all the time. I also tried sliding and spinning for some sections where I felt it was too dangerous to slide and jump at the risk of falling off a cliff or running into a level hazard. For my first completed run, I tried it on my PS Vita, and I came to the realization that it wasn't a very good idea. Sure, the game is perfectly playable on the Vita, but the overall controls for trying to achieve the required speed are a bit janky on this otherwise amazing console. From the very second warp zone, I know I wasn't gonna achieve a good time, since I didn't have the mask required for an optimal movement of the Arabian Times' monkey bars, and I died a lot trying to defeat Dingodile the quick way without having practiced this strategy yet, but I was decided to press on and try to finish the run. Tragedy stuck on level 14, the motorcycle level on the third warp zone, one of, if not my least favorite level in the entire game. I lost a bunch of races, so I had to repeat the level a couple times. One detail that I totally didn't remember is that the original version of Crash 3, you don't get the prompt to immediately restart the level as in the Insane Trilogy, so I had to wait for the loading screen, the animation of getting kicked out from the level, and then entering the level again and waiting through loading screen again. The fourth warp zone was also complicated given that I didn't have the number of masks I needed to properly run the levels, but I kept going to the best of my capacities. But the definitive tragedy struck on the final warp zone. I got 2 game overs in the final level of the run, Flaming Passion, yet I was keen on at least finishing the run, so I pushed forward, beat the final boss, and my final time was set on 1 hour and 26 minutes. But I wasn't satisfied with this lousy time, not at all, so I tried another run, this time playing on PC with my much more comfortable Xbox Series X controller. This time I was more knowledgeable of the level and hazard layout and timing, so I started saving more time, getting a bit more adventurous and at the same time more careful not to take unnecessary risk and avoiding death and game overs. This time around, my Dingodile fight was...
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
And even though I couldn't manage to keep all the necessary masks for some of the later levels, I was still able to cut my time by 20 minutes, resting at a very respectable 1 hour and 6 minutes. Yet, I craved more. I was determined to cut down those pesky 6 minutes and get 1 hour under an hour. I got greedy and arrogant. Alas, I was having an excellent run, cutting out on almost all my times, but overconfidence is a bad thing, and I ended up messing up my run pretty badly in the third warp room. First by dying a couple of times in deep trouble, and then I accidentally entered the bonus stage on Dynamite. That was a total killer. Little would I know that that was the last time I was gonna be able to get that far in a run. I felt so frustrated that I started completely messing up all my future attempts and wasn't able to complete a single further run when trying to beat my previous best time. So, after all the time I spent running the game and the experience I had, what can I say about speedruns? I can still say that they are definitely not for me, but that doesn't mean that I didn't have fun. Is it frustrating? Absolutely. Sometimes I felt like ripping out my hair from my head and gouging out my eyes, but when I managed to properly execute a risky move and save some seconds off my previous run, damn, that felt satisfying as hell. If you put enough of your time and effort into getting skilled enough, you surely can be at the top of the charts. The race is never over, so looking for games that don't have a community around them is a safe choice if you want to submit a time in speedrun.com. And who knows, you might instigate the new big speedrunning community around, I don't know, Monster Racer for the PS1. Wait, there's more people who know this piece of filth? The world is truly doomed. That will be all for today, my patients. Have you had any experience with speedrunning? Is there a game that you think you can beat fast enough to make a speed run? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see more videos in this format, you can subscribe and join the clinic for a free speed enhancing concoction. And remember, one game a day keeps the plague doctor away. See ya!